Blog Talk Radio.
What will it take for you to start opening your eyes, start questioning the bullshit everyone around you buys? You think it's any of your business what goes on between my thighs? I wonder when we'll be rid of your
Hi there, everyone, and welcome to the Pink Atheist. I'm your host, Rachel Johnson, and with me today is my co-host, Jimmy Williamson. Jimmy?
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the show. We have a really exciting episode scheduled for today. We're going to be talking with Leewood Thomas from the Arkansas Society of Freethinkers. We're also going to have the atheist rapper Tombstone the Dead Man on. And we have a pre-recorded interview with Shelley Siegel where she plays an acoustic version of her song, Saved. And we also have Blair Scott coming on to give us something to laugh about. So sounds like a good episode.
Absolutely. And I think you guys are going to really enjoy. Shelley did a great version of her song, and we're also going to play one of Tombstone's songs. It's absolutely my favorite. So we're going to have that on the show today as well.
All right, and to start with, we're going to go with Ed and go to Mars. Ed, are you there?
I'm here, Jimmy. Rachel, as always, thanks for inviting me out. We're going to start this week with weather data from October 5th, of course. That's Earth date on Mars. They call that Sol 59. The high temperature at that particular point in time is 38.8 degrees Fahrenheit. The low swung way down to a negative 104.8 degrees Fahrenheit. Still consistent with those wide temperature variations on the planet Mars. This is interesting. Atmospheric pressure is up to 7.81 millibars. That pressure has been climbing slightly, consistently over the past 4 weeks. Winds are still out of the east, steady at 4.5 miles per hour. Curiosity itself has traveled a whopping 484 meters. That's 1,588 feet for some of the rest of us, and that is the reference point for that is, of course, is from Curiosity's touchdown. Curiosity is pulled to a stop at a site that is being called Rock Ness, and this is in preparation for the soil sampling activities they're gearing up for. This activity is important for finding out if environmental conditions were ever favorable for microbial life on Mars. Two phases of this. Mineral analysis can reveal past environmental conditions, and chemical analysis can check for the elements necessary for life. For example, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, carbon. They'll be looking around for those little nice things here in a bit. The scientists and engineers say that this particular activity is going to take a few weeks to get through. Right now, they just want to make sure that all the instruments in question are working and that the internal laboratories are going to operate as expected. So that's where we're going to be right now. One of the scientists there at the laboratory indicated that this is an analytical laboratory experiment, and it's going to be more time-consuming than, if you'll recall, if you were with us the previous week, they had photographic evidence of running water on Mars, and you can do a visual interpretation of that, and that's really quick. Unfortunately, the analytical experiments are more time-consuming. So we're going to be here, like I said, for a few weeks, and the data that's coming out of that it's going to be slow to come out. So we're going to have some patience here, and hopefully we'll come up with some exciting stuff. That's it for me this week. Rachel, Jimmy, back to you guys.
Thank you so much, Ed.
All right, and that is some good information coming in from you. We appreciate you doing that for us.
Absolutely.
Happy to be able to.
All right, hang tight. And, Rachel, before we go on, I'm going to bring Jeffrick on, who is the Jim, is his real name. It was in the interview with me when we did the interview with Shelley Siegel. Jeffrick, are you there? I do apologize. I'm having some problems unmuting the calls. We're going to try to bring Jeffrick on anyway.
Let me try it from my end and see what we can get.
Okay, yeah, try to unpause him if you can. I'm getting the...
Hi, Jeffrick. I don't know.
No.
Interesting. Yeah, that's definitely a problem.
All right, we can just go into the pre-recorded thing, and we'll bring Jeffrick on afterwards. We had someone come in and guest star with me when we did the interview because at the time Rachel was still a little under the weather, and it was a great interview, and I hope you all enjoy it. Are we hearing any of it?
No, I don't think that it's actually playing. Hold on. Having a little bit of technical difficulties, guys. Sorry about that. Let me see if I can get it uploaded. It says that it is actually playing. A little bit of error on the keyboard here.
All right, if y'all bear with us, we are having a little bit of technical difficulties, as we said, and I'm going to just reboot the entire system and see if I can't get back in and get this thing working.
In the meantime, guys, we're going to try to get this back up. So just bear with us. As soon as we can, we're going to get it running again. And we do have a really wonderful interview for you. It's just a little bit of computer technology problems, which tends to happen from time to time. So just hang in there, and we'll get this back on the air as soon as possible.
I'm curious if any of the people that called in are even able to hear, or if we're online, because I'm getting a complete that page does not exist right now.
Yeah, and I'm actually having the same issue loading. So
are you there, Ed? Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. I lost the chat room though.
Okay, so
and I'm not seeing your. I'm seeing your time is frozen at 1 hour 57 minutes. I tried refreshing my page, but that's not helping it. I think maybe you guys got to do a restart, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're getting people on the chat room saying that they can hear us now, so apparently we did go out for a minute. If you would, Rachel, would you just shut yours down and we'll both restart them and see if they don't restart if we go in fresh?
Yeah, I'm already in the process of that, so it's just going to take me a few seconds to get everything restabilized. So if you guys want to hang with us, I'm not sure what the problem is. We're going to get on it in just a second. I apologize, guys. We have a really great show for you today, and this is not what we wanted. And, I'm finally better, so it sucks.
Well, we were already talking about the length of today's show was probably going to go into our record and extend the time that normally is accepted for the 2-hour show, but just because we have that much content, this is just pushing it even further.
Yeah, and that's more than likely going to be the case. So any of you that are listening right now and know that we're live, if we get into that point where we have more content than time, what we're going to do is archive this all, and then you can just download it and listen to the rest of what you missed. And I'm having such a difficulty with mine loading up. So let me see what I can do here. I know that you guys are probably getting impatient, but just hang on with us. I'm so sorry. This is a crazy, crazy thing. My blog talk is not responding at all.
Mine has went down completely as well. There, I'm back up part of the way. Let's see if this still getting a reload later.
Yeah.
Page doesn't exist at the moment.
Wow. So maybe all of you guys that just hopped on there overloaded the system, which is a great thing. So just bear with us and make sure that you don't give up. We're going to do this one way or the other, guys. That's the problem with, unfortunately, with internet radio. Sometimes there's a little bit of a reliability issue. So just give us a few seconds and we'll get it going.
The upstream for the chat room just died as well. That's the first time that went down on my side.
Okay, I'm actually trying to get into the studio and it's not working. So.
Not at all.
Guys, I know that you can hear us because I'm getting that message. Just hang tight. I don't know what Blog Talk has going on, but if need be, we're going to, we will get the show on the air one way or the other. So just hang tight, even if it has to go over our time and we have to reschedule it for later today and you all have to listen to it archived. It's not a problem. We will get it done. What a time for it to crash.
Yeah, what a time.
And like it is not moving. It is not doing anything. This is ridiculous. This is craziness.
If anyone knows that it is still playing, if you would message me on Facebook and let me know that it's still playing so I kind of know where we are.
I did get a message from Kevin. Hi, Kevin. That says that he can still hear us clearly. However, you know, we can't access our studio or anything therein. So just, you know, give us a few minutes here, guys. Desperately, we're trying.
Yeah, and we had Kevin on the line, and so he's perhaps just listening to us through the phone, and that would be the limited 4 or 5 people that we had on the line whenever we started.
Yeah, and as soon as I touch on the studio, it goes down. So I don't know what the problem is. Let me try to sneak in the back way.
Interesting. I didn't know we had a back door.
Yeah, kind of do. I'm going through the accounts, trying to get in there. This is irritating, highly irritating.
Yeah, I'm getting an error from Blog Talk Radio in general. It's not letting me get onto the site at all.
Yeah, and I think what we're going to have to do is reset this episode and go in here in a little bit when it's back up and start everything over. So I'm so sorry to our guests. I'm not sure what the problem is. I'm going to get in touch with them right now and let them know that it's crashing and burning and not getting anything done. So
yeah, I can't even log into Blog Talk.
There it is. It came up.
Okay. Did you finally get in? Yeah, I'm getting so many errors all over the place.
Let me see if I can get back out to the current show.
Yeah, mine is not. I'm going to have to restart everything and go from there. It's a little frustrating.
Yeah, it's just like before. I got no chat room, and I'm not getting the video display from the player.
I'm going to hang up, and I'm going to go in under the host code. So I will be with you guys shortly again. Is that fine?
Yeah.
You think we'll have to call in again? Is that the deal? Just hang up, give it some time, and call in again?
Well, I have the code for the host, and then I often flip because we don't want the feedback loop. But I do have all of that in my phone program so that I can get in there and see what's going on. Try to get the show back on where it should be, on track. This is absolutely ridiculous.
I'm being told by somebody who's that was in the chat room that they can still hear, and we are on the air, but the chat room is down. And, of course, we can't actually activate any of our phone calls, and no one wants to listen to Rachel, Ed, and Jimmy talk for 2 hours. That's not going to be entertaining at all.
It will get entertaining once I start cussing. That would be pretty entertaining. Because I'm about to start. Okay, let me do my thing with the host code and see where I get, okay?
All right, I'll give you a few minutes, and if you can get in, that would be good.
Okay, I will be back shortly.
Being told we can cuss them around all we want, and they will listen. Ed, did you stay with me, or did you hang up? Am I talking to myself?
I'm still here.
Okay, I thought I was talking to myself there for a minute.
No, I put the phone down and switched off on screens here. Should have left those things up. Could have talked a little bit more in detail about what Curiosity is going to be doing. We're going to have to do it anyway. It looks like they're going to be there for a while. And we're going to have to get in depth on a lot of the instrumentation they're using. What did I do?
Go ahead. Give me something to listen to.
Oh, okay. give me a second here. I shit-canned all my screens. Like I did first. Then got out. I got my pitch in.
Well, I have no idea if it was whenever I muted you and then I was going to bring Jeffrick on, that was what triggered it. But that was the point when everything went haywire, was right at that moment. So,
How are we doing? What's going on?
Hey, are you back? So you're back. Okay, great.
Yeah, I'm back. So, have we got the studio back up yet?
No.
Okay, so I'm going to have to contact them and be like, this is unacceptable.
Hang on. I think I may be getting something. Give me 1 minute. It appears to be loading.
Okay.
And we are back online.
Okay.
Outstanding.
Well, and I thought maybe the host being on there would have something to do with helping out there, so. All right.
I'm still getting the spinning wheel thing with bringing Jeffrick on. Jeffrick, are you on?
Yeah, I've been here listening all along. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Apparently, when I tried to unmute you, everything went haywire. And, guys, it looks like we are back up and the chat room is working.
Right. I don't have the chat room right now. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm selling insurance or a Verizon. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so why don't you see, Jimmy, if you can get the clip from Shelley going, since we're already behind time, about 20 minutes.
Right. Jeffrick, and I do appreciate you coming on and helping me with the interview with Shelley. And I was going to bring you on and just give you a chance to say hey to everybody before I played it.
Okay, we're ready for the Shelley interview then.
Yes, we are. I've been waiting, and I'm sure that our guests are waiting too. So thank you guys for being so patient. I apologize sincerely that this wasn't quite expected.
All right. This is a bit odd. The actual play button for the pre-record interview just disappeared. Have you logged back in, Rachel?
I'm currently in the process of it. I'm going to be there just shortly. Unfortunately, it takes a moment to. I was trying to get it back in the host position so that we could deal with everything and get everything brought back up. So I'm going to.
I tell you what, just in the interest of that, I know we still have Tombstone on the line. Let's just flip-flop these two, and we'll talk Tombstone first, and then we'll move on and try to get Shelley's pre-record going if we can.
Okay, that sounds great.
All right. Tombstone, are you there?
Yes, I am, sir.
All right. Well, we had a little bit of technical difficulties this week, and we apologize.
I mean, that's part of internet radio.
Yeah, well, not a part I was planning on today, that's for sure.
Oh, this is craziness, but welcome to the show. We're so very glad to have you.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Okay.
All right, for the people that don't know Tombstone, would you take a second and tell everybody who you are and what you do?
Sure, not a problem. I am a hip-hop artist, and I came to somewhat of a little bit of notoriety because I did an album about atheism and my experiences with being an atheist and my opinions on being an atheist. And I also have a YouTube channel named Rational Warrior, which most people tend to mistake the name of the channel for my stage name, but that's you can find me on YouTube, and I'm also on Facebook. I also performed at the Reason Rally this year in D.C. Really great time. A lot of folks out there showed up, and despite the inclement weather, people stayed out there the whole time, and it was a really good thing.
Right.
Yeah, and I was actually there, and it was one of my favorite things, and I recorded him, and that's actually how I got in touch with him, is that I had posted his music on YouTube, and I really love your song, Poison. So.
Thank you.
And I had a question for you.
Sure.
How did you come across the name Tombstone?
Well, about the year, I think it was 97 or so, I just got out of a pretty bad relationship.
I know that one.
And, everything that I thought I knew about myself and about the people that I trusted in my life I was pretty much mistaken about. And I was going through bouts of depression and stuff like that. And on top of that, I had a child as a result of the relationship. So I'm dealing with trying to be a good father and things like that. And I felt like that the person that I was before then, before this incident, before these life events, had pretty much died. And I was a huge wrestling fan at the time. And my favorite wrestler was The Undertaker. And I was watching him wrestle, and I was watching this whole persona with the dark music and the dark clothes stuff. And the whole idea of him being this walking dead man, and that's kind of how I felt at the time. So I pretty much changed my stage name to Tombstone the Dead Man, and for quite a while, most of my music was kind of dark, because that's where my mind state was at the time.
Right. And a lot of the writing, in my experience, was kind of the situation and where you are in life. That has a lot to do with how you write. I like the name because I think it sets a time in your life, and you'll always remember it when you remember that time when you hear the name.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And usually, it's like you just said, when artists usually write about what's going on in their life at the time or their opinions or whatever like that. And if you were to hear some of the stuff that I used to make songs about before, it was vastly different than the stuff that I talk about now.
Right.
Because my life is different,
Yeah.
And I had a question. The song Poison, how did you come up with that one?
Well, it's funny because one of my favorite shows to watch is The Atheist Experience. And I was watching an episode of that, and they were interviewing, well, not necessarily interviewing, but somebody called up to the show, and he's from this church. And he did what a lot of theists do. He started threatening them with hell, you know. So at the end of the conversation, Matt Dillhunty, one of the hosts, he goes into this dialogue where he's basically, and it's one of the most impassioned dialogues that I've ever heard, where he's saying he doesn't know how you can basically change a world when you have people who think they're doing the right thing. They think that they're doing something to help, but everything that they're doing and alienating people because they don't believe in a particular faith or concept is absolutely poison. And it was just like, I played that back like probably 100 times because it was exactly how I felt about the entire situation. So that inspired the song.
Great. And I know that Rachel was wanting to play that song today, and I also want to test our ability to play back. So if neither one of you have objections, let me try to play that song for everybody, and let's see how our playback's working.
My church believes heaven and hell are real places. And guess which one you're going to if you keep this up.
I don't know how we can fix a world where people have been so convinced that they are doing the right thing out of compassion and love and trying to help people when it is absolute poison, when it is absolutely destructive.
Now who's the one that is responsible for how the world is? Who's the one that is responsible for how we all live? Takes the negative influences and poisons all the kids, so they just repeat the stupid shit that you and I did. Who's the species that wallows in this puddle of mud? Who's the one that painted the planet in buckets of blood? Who's the one that begs the God for forgiveness of sin and turns right around the next day and does it again? Who's the money-hungry monster that poisons the air, kills his own kind and steals the land cause he can't share? Who points the finger at a devil trying to shift the blame and hides his hands because he knows that they covered in bloodstains? Yeah, it's just as you assuming it's nothing but these humans who like to blame astrology for everything they're doing. They pray for non-existent gods to clean up the mess, but never take responsibility, just claim it's a test. See, that religion you've been given is shit and it's all void, and it's partially the reason we bleed and it's all void. Though your worldview is void, and your outlook is void. You can deny all you want, but the truth is it's all void. That religion you've been given is shit and it's all void, and it's partially the reason we bleed and it's all void. Though your worldview is void, and your outlook is void. You can deny all you want, but the truth is it's all void. As long as we keep believing in demons, devils, and goblins, we'll never see a reason to tackle problems and solve them, cause we gon' keep on thinking it's part of divine prophecy, and we don't have to solve it, cause one day Jesus will stop to see. Many are invested in living life after death, and nobody's ever proved that we even have a soul yet. So why everybody speculating, lots of y'all hesitating, praying with your fingers crossed and hoping there's a heaven waiting. So Sky Daddy's only talking to your group, huh? And everything in your holy book is the truth, huh? And we gonna burn if we don't listen to you, huh? Well, every other group is claiming that too, bruh. So don't be coming at me unless you got some evidence, and use some reason and logic to make it make sense. I think it's evident that ever since I started asking for evidence, they settle like they got a speech impediment. See, that religion you've been given is shit and it's all void, and it's partially the reason we bleed and it's all void. Though your worldview is void, and your outlook is void. You can deny all you want, but the truth is it's all void. That religion you've been given is shit and it's all void, and it's partially the reason we bleed and it's all void. Though your worldview is void, and your outlook is void. You can deny all you want, but the truth is it's all void.
The good thing is my playback is working. The bad thing is I still won't be able to do the Shelley Siegel because I don't have an option to play it. But excellent song, by the way, Tombstone. Love that song.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And I can actually see Shelley, so we can try that from my side again if everything doesn't shut down. I'm not sure what the deal is. But before we're done with Tombstone, I wanted to say how much I absolutely love that song, and of course I've made it clear how much that's one of my favorites. And I just want to know, as an artist, what inspires you?
Well, I think for me, I have a desire to express my viewpoint, and because this is a form of expression, and hopefully other people, will relate to what I'm saying. But I don't necessarily do it for other people as much as I do it for myself, because sometimes things piss me off, and I need to talk about it. Or there's something good happening in my life, I need to talk about that. And this is just my way of doing it. And the thing is, a lot of the hip-hop music today is not something that I really listen to. The subject matter is very redundant and doesn't really show any creativity to me. So if for no other reason, I'm doing music so I have something to listen to.
And you know, I've said it before, I'm big in rap and R&B, and that's kind of my genre. So it absolutely appeals to me. And I know when we talked, you said that somebody had mentioned to you that you were doing this just for the money.
Oh, yeah. You know, that is the funniest criticism I've ever heard. So let's see if I understand this logic. Now, 85% of the people in the United States self-identify as Christian. 85%. So you mean to tell me that it's a gimmick for me to rap about atheism to such a small audience, many of which don't even like hip-hop? The idea is ridiculous. If I was doing this just strictly for the money or some fame or anything like that, trust me, I would be rhyming about the same thing all the other rappers are rhyming about, because that's the larger audience to appeal to. It's ridiculous. I wouldn't be pissing people off saying the stuff that I'm saying. So the whole idea is just ridiculous to me.
Yeah, and Blair Scott had a question for you. He said,
I brought Blair on.
Okay. Blair, are you there?
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Hello?
Yeah.
Hi.
Hey, how's it going, Tombstone?
Hey, how's it going, man?
It's going pretty good, man. I don't know if you remember, we got to meet at the Reason Rally. I loved your set up there. So I've been following you for a while, you and Baba Brinkman and others. But the question I have specifically for you is as an atheist rapper, filling such a very specific niche, you know, along with people like Baba Brinkman, do you ever think that the hip-hop community as a whole will embrace you and allow you to make it big within the genre of hip-hop and rap?
I would like to be optimistic about that and say, yeah, sure. But the reality of it is I don't believe so. I think at a certain point in the evolution of that particular genre, people decided that it was more important for the money aspect, for them to become wealthy, and more important for them to identify more with the pop elements in our culture than it is for them to actually have any real subject matter or to even push the envelope and step outside of the box and make songs about more than just their cars or their tennis shoes or women or being in the club. So in light of that, I don't think so. I would like for that to happen, but I'm just more of a realist about it, thinking probably not. But you know what? That's fine with me too. Like, as long as I have an audience of people that listen to something I'm saying and appreciate what I'm doing, that inspires me enough to keep doing it. You know.
Do you think it has less to do with the fact that the lyrics are atheistic and more to do with the fact that they're just not talking about bling and booty? Yeah,
I think that's what it is. I think it's not even so much of a, I mean, of course, that would probably be another mark against it, but I think it has more to do with the fact that the level of the music now has just regressed, and they don't want to talk about anything. They don't want to talk about politics. They just want, party. I'm making it rain. I'm in the club. That's what they're marketing towards, and hopefully at some point in time, maybe that might change. But for right now, looking at the trends, it seems like the dumber the music, the more popular it becomes.
And that's actually a tragedy, not only in the trend of music, but in the trend of society, and it seems to happen a lot, even throughout history.
Yeah, and to be fair, that's something exclusive to the hip-hop and rap community. I mean, just watch any, almost any rare music video on MTV, regardless of the genre, and it's almost all materialistic and about sexualizing way that's just inappropriate. Unfortunately, that seems to be the way the trend is going. It's almost like welcome to the idiocracy ahead of time.
Yeah, absolutely. And Tombstone, I know that you have another album coming up. Is that right?
Yes. I'm planning a Halloween release of the album Death Lives. And basically this album, of course, I have some atheistic themes on this album as well, but I also have like storytelling. I have a couple songs about politics on there. And this album will not have a set price to it. You can pay whatever you want to pay for it. If you don't want to pay anything, don't pay anything for it. But I wanted to actually throw this out there to my fan base and my supporters because they were so supportive with Rise of the Infidel. I wanted to introduce them to other topics that I like to talk about other than just the atheistic thing because I was a rapper long before I was an atheist. So, but one thing I will always promise to my supporters, you will never hear me doing any of that ignorant crap that you see on TV and on the radio. You will never hear me doing that. I will always try to be as creative as I can, as innovative as I can, and all of those things. But you will never hear me writing songs about my car, my tennis shoes, or the brand name of my clothes, and none of that crap. You will never hear that from Tombstone the Dead Man. Never.
And just let me know. I know you're on my Twitter, and so just let me know because I got your album this week, this last one that I absolutely adore. And as soon as your album comes out, I would love to know that because I'm definitely getting it. And
I'll put it out there. Definitely put it out there.
Wonderful, wonderful. I think you're a great artist, and I think you have great reasons to be an artist, and that's why I wanted to have you on today.
Thank you. I really appreciate it, guys.
And we talked about it before, and someone just brought it up on the chat room. Are you aware of other atheist rappers who are closeted, and have any of them pulled you aside and talked to you about it?
Most of the ones that I have talked to that don't really bring it up in their music probably wouldn't be people that you would know because they're underground. They're underground or undiscovered acts as of yet. And it's been a lot of them. It's a lot of them. And the thing is, sometimes I feel like I'm in a bubble a little bit because by me being a part of Grand Unified Movement, GU, all of these artists are atheists. So I'm used to, feeding off of that echo chamber. So it was surprising to me to find so many hip-hop artists that won't talk about their atheism in their music, won't even put it out there that they're atheists in their music. They won't say anything about it, but they are. And, for me, that's fine. If you don't feel like you want to go through that and feel alienated away from your community, family, friends, that's one thing. But my issue with them is that they'll write stuff that insinuates that they do believe in a God when they don't. And I know they don't. I know they don't.
Yeah, there's a difference between an atheist rapper and a rapper who is an atheist, or an atheist comic and a comic who is an atheist, etc. There's definitely a difference between those two. And I applaud you for not just being a rapper who is an atheist, but also being an atheist rapper.
Thank you, man. I feel like you're not a complete artist to me if you're not expressing how you truly feel in your music. That's just how I feel. I mean, it doesn't seem genuine to me. It seems as though it's a product. It's just a product to you, and you're selling your product the same way someone would sell a Big Mac or something like that. Right? I don't know. To me, art is not supposed to be just considered a product or a service. It's supposed to actually come from your innermost thoughts and your genuine opinion. And I think that the reason that everything sounds so much alike now is because no one's really being themselves.
Right. All right. Well, I know I asked you the other day, and I never really got an answer. Do you freestyle at all?
Well, it's been a while, but I still every now and then.
Cool. All right. Well, did anybody else have anything?
Does anybody from the audience have any questions? When you chat, we can see you. So if you have any questions for Tombstone, please let us know right now before we move on. And we're going to attempt Shelley again. So, again.
Yeah, we were plagued a bit with these technical difficulties this morning.
Yeah, this is being interesting, but you guys have been great hanging on with us. So Manoid says, thanks, Tombstone, and definitely thank you for being on the program. You have been an absolutely wonderful artist to have on the show, and I absolutely adore your music. So thank you so much.
Thank you, and thank you for having me on.
Oh, no problem. I'm so glad to have you on here, and just I absolutely love your music. So, guys, he is on YouTube and he's on Twitter. Follow him, find his music. It's wonderful. And
you can find it on iTunes. You can find it on iTunes, and you can find it on Bandcamp. Just search Tombstone the Dead Man. You'll find it. All
right. So thank you so much for coming on, and I would love to have you on again sometime in the future after your album comes out. So please come back and visit with us and tell us how it's going.
All right. Well, I brought Jeffrick back on the line. Jeffrick, are you there?
Yeah, I'm still here. We're going to go now with the Shelley Segal interview.
We're going to try this again, and I did want to give you a chance to just tell everybody who you are before we play it, because you helped do the interview. So,
well, I'm Jeffrick. I'm a resident on the Rational Response Squad. I also do videos, local TV shows up here, and also voiceover work, surprisingly enough. I did debate a young Earth creationist. I'm guessing not many, about 1,000 people have seen the video so far, so tune in anytime you want. I thought the interview itself went rather well. Shelley was in Boston.
Yeah, you did a really great job, and by the way, thank you for being my voice when I didn't have one. So.
Why don't we just run the interview? I think we're doing enough of a build-up.
Yeah. Go ahead and see if you can play it on your end.
All right, here we go, guys. Try number 2, and if it doesn't go, I so am going to just faint into the floor. So here we go.
Shelley, let me ask you a question, because I went through your videos and your songs, and I really like the words, the lyrics, and the way you perform them. But it becomes a clear message. It becomes a very clear message that you're actually a daddy's girl. I like
that. Yes, I'm very, very close with my father, which I think is impressive considering that I'm a musical atheist activist and he is the president of the East Melbourne Synagogue back in my hometown.
He was actually performing the violin with you during one of your videos, the one called Gratitude, I believe.
Yes, I'm very lucky. He's a very, very talented musician, and actually I learned to sing and perform by growing up singing with him in his Jewish wedding band, and now I'm very fortunate that he comes to my gigs and sometimes he accompanies me.
Yeah, I did make a note on that, on your song, We Are Atheism, which is not on the album. You had a line that said, "What my father taught me." And I was wondering, how does the president of a synagogue feel about teaching you to be a good atheist?
I interchanged that line. Sometimes I say mother and sometimes I say father, depending on my feeling in the moment. And the song is talking about morality, and it's saying where I got my morality from. And I really believe that I got part of my morality is what was taught to me by my parents. And I think that people develop their morality from empathy, from a natural sense of empathy towards other people, and they know inside already what's right and wrong. When my father looks at certain passages, on the rare occasion that he does, he decides whether they're good or bad for now, or whether he wants to use them in his life now. And the ability that he has to discern which passages he likes shows that he's getting his morality from somewhere else, not from the scripture itself. And I argue with him about that, actually, a lot.
Well, that song, you actually used the word humanity, is what my father taught me. I did like the song, actually.
Oh, thanks.
And the Eve song does show the Eve song shows a Hasidic background. Is your father belong to a Reformed church or the old-fashioned, a Hasidic type of synagogue, rather?
Well, at home, my family was not so religious. It was more of a liberal reform kind of lifestyle, but they still belonged to an Orthodox synagogue. So we would go to the Orthodox synagogue where the men and women would sit separately and the women weren't allowed to run the service. And in Eve I talk about not being able to sing because
yes, very much
Orthodox
Hasidic.
Jewish men, unallowed to hear a woman's voice. And that's
Orthodox Jews and Orthodox Islam can act the same way for the same reasons. Bad ideas from the old book.
And they both have, interestingly, modesty laws. In Judaism, it's called tzniut, and in Islam, it's called efat. And they're like laws pertaining to women's dress and how they're supposed to interact with men and how they're supposed to be submissive.
Our Mormon friends picked up some of those bad habits. That's why they have magical underwear. It's to protect your virginity.
Is it to protect your virginity?
They can have my virginity. Yeah. I don't know. It's supposed to protect you from evil. Religions have this bad habit of trying to run everyone's sex life. Control that, you control the world.
Part of it would be your virginity if it's trying to keep you. That's so funny. I never thought of it like that. What religion were you brought up in, if any, Jeff?
Well, I got a Catholic background. I have ancestors who were Jewish, but my background would be Catholic. But I never really did believe it. I mean, at age 5, they're telling me about God and Jesus and Cinderella and Santa Claus, and that all just made nice stories. I never actually believed, and it took me to like age 8 before I realized that some of my classmates believe this God stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty much a lifelong atheist. But I ask you about that song, Save, which is your biggest hit. Now, when you use the word bullshit in the line, which seems to fit the song rather well, doesn't that keep you off the more commercial stations? And I mean, DJ's playing your airtime, giving you airtime on commercial stations.
I think it's more the content of the song that's keeping me off commercial stations rather than the word bullshit. There's plenty of commercial songs that have those words. I guess they do like a remix where they'll change the word ship to ships to ships to shit to ship, as what happened in one Adele song. So I could do that, but one response I had in Australia from commercial radio was that they didn't want the backlash. We were talking about putting my song on because I was going to be playing at the Global Atheist Convention this year, which was in Melbourne, and they specifically said they didn't want the backlash.
Even in Australia, they worry about the backlash? Oh, yeah, you mentioned your producer was actually religious, but he didn't want you to use his name. You want to tell us that story?
That was the case. My producer is religious, and we talked about doing this album, and he said something that I really agree with. He said he doesn't, he believes, but he thinks that most people, when they do believe, they don't think about why they believe. And he thinks that this album, whether it will challenge what they think or push them more to believe, that it will make them think about why they do. And we both thought that was a good thing. What I think you're referring to is my band. My band do a lot of work in the States, and they were worried about their employment opportunities if they were involved in this album. So they asked not to be mentioned. And we gave them pseudonyms. We called them Mark, Matthew, Luke, and Mary in the studio.
Okay, can I ask you something personal? Your song, My Mouth, is that about an ex-lover?
Yes.
Long time ago, or is that a recent breakup?
Well, that video that you would have seen that song on was from when that was at least 4 years old. And I think I wrote the song when I was 19, so that would make it 6 years old. So yeah, it's a pretty long ago breakup.
Well, good luck on your next lover. The apocalyptic. Are you still single? Are you single?
No, I I have a partner. I have a musician, actually, I'm dating, and he's back in Australia. But yeah, there's a line in my mouth that says I should come with a warning because if we have a nasty breakup, I'll probably write some awful songs about you. I don't know.
Yeah, that's where most of our country and western hits come from. Somebody's lousy love life.
Yeah.
Hey, they make a lot of money at it.
It's good inspiration. It's good fodder. Did you end up hearing the Salamander song?
No, I didn't get to that one. To be honest with you, I've only started preparing for the show last night.
No worries. I mean, not that you should hear all of my material, but just if you like breakup songs that are a bit harsh, that one's pretty funny, I think.
I like what I've heard so far. Apocalyptic love song for Hitchens.
Yeah.
You wrote that before he passed away. Are you planning to update that now? I'm also a big fan of Hitchens.
No, I think it still stands the way it is. I really wish I'd had a chance to sing it to him, so he would know that he'd inspired music. I'm sure he knows. I'm sure he knew that he inspired a lot of people. Yeah, I'm a really big fan.
Yeah, he inspired so many people, including myself. I take blurbs out of his speeches and use them for mine. So I've been milking him for quotes for a couple of years now.
What made you become an atheist?
Well, it was a few different factors, and it was over a period of time. I think, because as I was saying earlier, I was brought up in a traditional Jewish household, and I went to a Jewish school, and so I believed the biblical account of creation. I don't think I wondered about it too much. I just kind of accepted the story the way it was presented, and we had scripture classes, and then in year 11, I learned about evolution in biology class, and that was kind of the first clash of ideas, I guess, and I was just so blown away by the whole concept, and well, this is different, I thought, than what I've been taught and how I understood that I've come to be. So that was the first challenge, and then I had a partner who was an atheist, and he was the first atheist I'd ever met, and we used to sit up arguing at night. I remember one argument we had, he said, "There's no such thing as souls," and I said, "You can't say that I don't have a soul. You can say you don't have one, but you can't say I don't have one." And so I remember getting really upset, and actually the fact that I was dating a non-Jewish guy was a really big issue with my family, so I moved in with my then partner, the guy from my now, and his family, and they were all atheists, but they didn't even call themselves atheists. They were just not religious, and I think being with them was a really big change in my worldview, and being able to see outside the perspective which I'd been brought up in. Then I went traveling. I went backpacking around Europe, and again, just seeing different perspectives and seeing the different ways that people lived and the different stories that they believed made me more able to look at my own upbringing critically, and that's when I became an atheist. I would say when I was about sometime between 19 and 20 on my trip.
What got you started in music? But I believe you've already touched on that a bit with your father, but if you want to elaborate a little more.
Yeah, so I've been singing since I was about 3 and writing songs since I was 11, and just always writing about what was going on in my life at the time. It seemed really therapeutic and also easy. You know, it's like, oh, I can't be wrong if I'm just writing about a narrative, what's happening. And so I came back from my trip and I was an atheist, but I still didn't really think there was anything so bad about religion. I thought, oh, it's not for me. But then I started to read Hitchens and Sam Harris and Richard Dawkins and get into some of the things that they were saying online as well, watching debates, and I started to see also with a bit of perspective and distance from my own religion, some of the, especially the more sexist rules coming from an Orthodox synagogue, I started to have big issues with religion, and I started to get involved in secular activism. About 2.5 years ago, I joined a group called Progressive Atheists, and we would work on different campaigns in Australia. And then, so I guess because all these issues were at the forefront of my attention, I started to write about them. And I'd have different interactions with people that would make me feel a particular way, and I would go home and I would write about it. And I probably had 4 songs, and then I thought it would be great to have a whole album of material where I could address all the different aspects of this theme of atheism or becoming an atheist and talk about them. Also, I think it's a good way to present an idea through music, because usually, you have a discussion, people interact with you, but when you're singing a song, they at least let you get to the end of the song, so you get 4 minutes of uninterrupted opinion, which is nice.
Yeah, but they want to talk to you about it afterwards.
Yep.
You asked something earlier before we went on the air about how it was, Jimmy asked you about growing up in Melbourne as an atheist and other atheist support in the area. Can you delve into that?
Sure. Well, I didn't grow up as an atheist, so I grew up in a small Jewish community. So I think it can still be difficult as an atheist in Australia if you are growing up in a small religious community. But if you're not in that situation, I don't think that there's as much of an issue for atheists in Australia as there is in the States, from what I've seen on my travels here. I think our culture is a lot more secular, and it's 22% at the last census, I think, have identified as non-religious, and they're the second biggest majority after Catholics, which are 24%. So actually, non-religious people are a really big part of the population. And our Prime Minister is an atheist, which I don't think would be possible to have an atheist president here in the States at the moment. And politicians don't really make much of an issue of their religion, whether they're an atheist or whether they are religious during the running, during their campaign. It's quite a secular society.
Has any Americans asked you to explain that? Because I've tried. Canadian politicians don't talk about religion either on the campaign trail. But I'm trying to make my American friends understand that, and they don't seem to believe me.
Yeah, it's funny explaining what the climate is like somewhere else, because when I say that our Prime Minister is an atheist, to Americans they see that as a complete victory. So that there are no religious issues at home, and it's not the case actually, because our Prime Minister Julia Gillard is an atheist, but she's not, I don't know, as liberal, I guess, as you might expect. Like, she doesn't support marriage equality. That was one of the first announcements that she made after she was elected, was that she doesn't support same-sex marriage. And that was, I think, the atheist, humanist, secular community at home were pretty upset about that. And whereas here, even Barack Obama, who is religious, he supports marriage equality. So it's a very different climate. Have you had trouble explaining that when you've been here?
Personally, no. We're very liberal-minded in Canada. We have a conservative government, but we also have legal marriage between homosexual couples of either gender. Politicians never talk about their religion. I think our Prime Minister is religious, but it's never discussed. It simply It doesn't come up. They stay with politics and policies. And it's just trying to talk to my American counterparts. They don't believe me. Even my relatives, and they live in the States. But, I can tell my wife that I'm going to appear on a show and speaking as an atheist. Nobody bats an eye up here. My relatives in the States would wonder, Are you kidding? You're going to do an atheist thing? They just can't believe it.
How was the culture shock to come to such a religious area?
Oh, it's so different. It was the first thing that strikes you is the billboards, the massive billboards. You know, get right with God. Have you spoken to Jesus lately? And this church and that church, and on bus stop signs, and everywhere, and so many churches. And yeah, actually, when I was in New Orleans last time, they had a Lutheran event where, like, I don't know, 30 or 40,000 Lutheran students from all over the world had flown in to do a big prayer session at the Dome, the big stadium there, and so the whole town was full of religious kids.
And I'm sure Bourbon Street was quite packed that night too.
Yeah.
And Shelley, I also another thing we wanted to talk about while we had you on was we want to give you a chance to kind of highlight what you're doing on this tour, where you've been and where you're headed, and plug a couple of your shows. Obviously, you're going to plug next weekend because we're going to be both at the Alabama Free Thought Convention, and I look forward to seeing you there.
Yeah, I'm so excited for that. So it's the 13th, and it's the Alabama Free Thought Convention, and it's the first ever, I think, secular statewide convention.
Yes, we're a bit behind.
And it's also my first time in Alabama, and I don't know, from everyone's reactions when I tell them that I'm going to sing at a secular conference in Alabama, gives me the impression that there's going to be more protesters than attendees or something like that. But I don't know.
Well, actually, I was thinking that you were going to be performing in front of 6 people.
No, actually, me alone, we're bringing at least 10, so it's going to be a little more than that.
No, it's going to be fantastic. And Blair Scott's going to be there
Shelley,
as well.
Alabama's deep in the Bible Belt.
Yeah, I haven't been to Alabama. I haven't been to Texas. I'm looking forward to both of those experiences. But yeah, this is my 5th trip to America this year, doing songs from an atheist album and new songs as well. And this trip in particular has been for 3 months, and I've been to Louisiana, California, Oregon, Washington. I've been up to Calgary in Alberta and did a gig with CFI there. And what's been so interesting for me is to see all the different groups, and each group is different, even if, you know, there's the different alliances that they have. So there'll be atheist groups or humanist groups, secular groups, free thought groups. So they have different names, but even the ones that have the same affiliation, they all work differently. They all do different things. Some of them are more about community and support, and some are about social events and going out. And then, of course, there's the ones that are really focused on nights in the pub and drinking, and some are more about charity, and they do a lot of charity drives. And then there's political groups that are focused on particular campaigns. And it's really interesting seeing like this grassroots movement and how it's growing and how it works, and seeing that they're all different, but they work together to bring about change in the country. It's really cool.
Yeah, and we have a group here in Mobile that I'm currently vice president of, and so I try to focus as much as I can on the charity side, but we also do a weekly, it's not really a pub crawl like you're talking about, but we do go out every Friday to a sports bar and have drinks and hang out, and it's so we do our socials, but we also try to do a bit of charity and mix it up a little bit, and we stay away from the politics, because it is something me and Blair have talked about on this show quite a few times. Is here in this area in the South, you will actually get Republican atheists and of course, you know, conservative atheists, which is a complete oxymoron to me, but I do respect their right to believe or to support any political affiliation they want without having to hear it from me. we just try to get together on what we do agree on.
I had a funny experience with Canadian customs when I came up to Alberta, and they were searching my bags, and the guy at the counter said, what are you doing here? And I said, I'm playing at a Skeptics Festival. And he said, well, what do you sing about? Why are you playing at a Skeptics Festival? I said, I sing about atheism. And he said, you're an atheist? Does that mean you don't believe in God? And I said, yes. And then he said, well, I'm going to pray for you tonight. He said, how can you not believe in God? And I thought, you must be joking, but he was so deadpan. And so he kept going, and then he pulled out a Richard Dawkins book from my luggage, and he said, now, this is not allowed in Canada. This is hate speech. But he was, and then I knew he was joking. And he said, I'm an atheist as well, but if you can't have fun at work, there's not much point to things, really. And he said he was an atheist as well, and I thought that was really funny. You probably wouldn't encounter that at U.S. Customs, that's for sure.
Yeah, because they keep running into their American counterparts just across the hallway.
What is it like in Canada as the free thought movement? I think like in Australia it has less momentum than it does here in the States because there is so much more to fight against. Do you feel like that's the case in Canada, or is it completely different? What's your experience?
Well, it's very relaxed, your attitude. I mean, I can tell anyone I'm an atheist. I don't give much of a reaction about it because about half the people here are non-believers or they're just polite. Canadians have a reputation for being very polite. No one's just going to talk about it. I mean, there's a religious show going on, and I'm a frequent guest. I'm one of the go-to atheists they call in for the atheist point of view and whatever the question is. So it's very easy to live here as an atheist.
But
boring sometimes.
As far as a free thought movement or atheist movement goes, like with
I belong to the local Free Thought Association. We get involved with charities. Walk. We usually join other charities. So if you walk for cancer, there's a Free Thought group. Where I'm living is called the Halton Peel Regional Humanist Association. That's a hell of a mouthful. We're just outside of Toronto. So we should get together and call it the GTA, Greater Toronto Area Atheist.
GTA.
And the political spectrum goes all over the place. You can't say you're an atheist and a Democrat or a liberal because the only thing we have in common is we do not believe there's a God. And that's it after that. After that, politics goes all over the place.
Oh, yeah. And that was my point here is, I'll actually get into debates with, some of my atheist friends who are conservative, and we'll debate our politics, but then we always come together and still have a good time because we know that's actually a separate subject from what we're together to do. And so, I mean, we try to find the common ground that we have.
Yep.
But Shelley, we did want to get a live recording, so if you want to get your little computer program running there.
Okay. Well, I can do a version of Save. Actually, that would be fun. Ooh, 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 ooh. Say that I need to be saved. Say with me, the devil's got his way. I want to know how when you are praying, when you are doomsaying, how you think you know that someone
say I need to hear the truth. A sales pitch of eternal life and eternal youth. All these lessons you are bestowing upon the one you say is all knowing. Well, are they really deserved if he is sending me where you say I am going? So you think that you tell us how to live our lives, never questioning the source from which your moral code derives. You think that suffering is part of some great plan to live by. I wonder, what will it take for you to start opening your eyes, to start questioning your bullshit everyone around you buys? You think it's any of your business what goes on between my thighs? I wonder when we'll be rid of your lies, of your lies. Ooh, 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 ooh.
Well, hello. We're back. That was an excellent song, by the way, and I was trying to post the lyrics, but it limits you to a certain amount of characters, so I was having a bit of an issue there. Rachel, are you back?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm here. And that was a great interview. And Shelley is a wonderful, wonderful singer. And I hope you guys enjoyed that. I wasn't able to do it because of course, my health and stuff. So I'm very grateful to Jeffrick for taking over for me.
And Jeffrick, are you back on the line?
I'm still on the line. I don't know if you got me plugged in or not.
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
Yes, you are. You're here.
I was afraid my heavy breathing would interfere with something.
It started a bit of a chat going on the chat room. Yes, it did.
Yeah, I finally got into the chat room, and the first thing I did was apologize for it. I hope somebody didn't get too excited.
Well, no, they actually thought that it was you that was getting excited. So. Blair,
no, my hands were busy doing other things.
Yeah, I'm here.
Hi, Blair.
Well,
welcome back.
I've talked to Jeffrick about it, and I knew Jeffrick wanted to talk to you a bit, so I'll give y'all a chance to kind of bat it off there for a minute, if y'all will.
All right.
Is that Blair?
Yeah. Yes, that's Blair Scott.
Hello, Blair. It's nice to see you made bail after all.
Hey, it's easy for me to make bail. I'm one of those privileged white males.
yeah, but still, those 12-year-old girls, when they start complaining about you, it gets a little.
Well, you know, it was either that or be a priest.
In that case, you'd like 12-year-old boys.
Exactly.
Oh.
And then, you know, I'm hetero. What do you want?
I do have one gripe with the Catholic Church. When I was growing up, I was never a choir boy, even though I was probably the best voice in class. But I was never once molested by a priest. Not once. Like Tommy was cuter than me, apparently. I'm very upset at that. I'm cute. I was then.
Well, I don't know what you look like, but your breathing is cute.
Hey, you can find my videos online. Jimmy Williamson, can you direct you to them?
Yeah, you should post a link on the chat at a minimum so people can go and watch your videos. And then hopefully Rachel and Jimmy will post a link to your page once the show's over on the permanent link.
Yeah. Okay, I don't have my own page.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll get those up after the show and put them on our page as well as our group. So.
I just want to say I'm totally stoked that Shelley mentioned me. That was so cool. I'm like, because I love Shelley so much, and like I got to, I first heard of her on online and brought her up to Dave Silverman and others, and so she was able to make it to the Reason Rally, and I've seen her so many times since then. I had the privilege of introducing her to Café du Monde and beignets in New Orleans. And we had such a blast hanging out in New Orleans and on Bourbon Street. She's just an amazing person, not just when you interview her, but just in person as well. She's just so fun and lovable and just an amazing character. And she's just hilarious to be around. She's just a very fun, engaging individual. And I hope that people will get a chance to go to the Alabama convention that they were talking about and get a chance to listen to her in person and meet her and hang out with her as well. And, I know that there were some jokes about it being a small crowd. I can assure you that it's not going to be. As Jimmy talked about earlier, one of the things that we talked about is, in Alabama, Mississippi, and Georgia, and places like that, the groups tend to be bigger and more active because the groups are needed more in places like that than they are in, say, New York City or Los Angeles. So we do draw larger crowds. This is going to be an amazing event. I would encourage everybody to at least consider going. Tickets are only $40, and $30 for students, and children under 13 are admitted for free. And you can get tickets at sc4al.eventbrite.com, and I'll send the link to Jimmy and Rachel so they can post it on the links for the show, and I'll throw it in the chat room right now. But I really encourage people to go and purchase tickets and look the event up on Facebook. It's Alabama Free Thought Convention 2012, and and just really come down and enjoy a good time. I mean, we've got a lot of great speakers coming in: Jamila Bey, David Niosi from the American Humanist Association, myself, Brother Richard from Atheist Nexus, and of course Shelley will be performing. And we're going to have a lot of discussion panels, and it's just going to be an amazing time. I really hope people can make it down there.
Yeah,
I was joking about the size of a crowd you get from the Bible Belt get-togethers, but I've heard from other people who have held these meetings, like Richard Dawkins and Christopher Hitchens, that they got amazing crowds. Not only were they large, surprisingly large, but very enthusiastic about having somebody they could relate to as atheists. Oh,
yeah, absolutely. I think one of the funniest things is when you go, like, Christopher Hitchens made it down here quite a few times, and Richard Dawkins, et cetera. One of the last times Christopher made it down, it was just a debate with this horrible debater of a Christian. I mean, it was just absolutely horrible. And we go out afterwards for the book signing, and Christopher's line is like out the door, around the corner, down the block, and like the Christian has 3 people in his line. It was so funny. It was just absolutely hilarious. And he got so mad that nobody was there to support him, that he had, that it was all Christopher Hitchens fans. He was just so pissed off about that, and it was pretty laughable. I can't remember the guy's name. He was
even in the Bible.
So such a lack of impression on me.
Well, we do have.
By the way, I took Jimmy's advice here, so I'm doing this. I started out doing this show in my underwear, but now I'm not wearing anything. Kind of a warm day. And I noticed, Blair, you're not wearing anything either. I can tell by looking just a bit to the right on my screen. I mean, you left your camera on. Did you know that? Does your proctologist laugh about that birthmark when he sees it?
All right, I can't complain. I'm in my Superman underoos.
It doesn't hide much.
Wow, you guys.
Much more. They're better than magic underwear by a long shot.
I hope so. By the way, these Mormons claim they can fly or go through, fight off bullets with this magic underwear. I never really could understand.
Well, I don't know about all that, but my Superman underoos allow my penis to jump over tall buildings and fly faster than a speeding bullet.
Yeah. You can always wish. Still have a young man in his dreams. Who am I to disappoint him?
Oh.
I'm just afraid of the Aquaman underoos. I have no idea what that'll do to my penis. I might have some dolphin try to come up and sex with me or something.
Blair, did you have material planned for today? I know you said you wanted to tell some games. Do you have material?
Well, as the chat was going through, I'm like, oh man, this would make a great joke, and I'm like, no, I got to save it. But I do have some material planned if you want to do one of my other sets, or just sitting here shooting a shit like this. I mean, all this stuff is off the cuff. It's this kind of comedy is always fun as well. And I guess we should probably mention, I mean, you guys invited me on specifically for this one because you're doing artists, and I'm not a singer, although I am a karaoke whore. But I am a stand-up comedian. A lot of people don't know that about me. They know me through American Atheist and through the Critical Eye podcast. But I do stand-up comedy as well. And surprisingly, atheist jokes and science jokes sometimes go over well in Alabama. A couple of weeks ago, I did a gay Jesus routine at a place called the Green Room, which is a predominantly black club, and there was a large black gospel Christian group there supporting one of their members that went up on stage. And I did the gay Jesus routine for them to a chirp, chirp, silent crowd. It was pretty funny. But then I did that same routine at a redneck bar the very next night, and it went over really well there. It's just kind of funny how the demographics work and how you never know how a crowd is going to react like that. It's different when you get in front of an audience that is there specifically for you and your type of comedy, because you know they're going to laugh at everything you say. But when you're doing open mics and stand-ups where it's a collection of comics, you have no idea how the audience is going to react, and it makes it for quite an entertaining evening, not just for the audience, but for the comics as well.
Well, are you going to tell us what your best gay Jesus is? I mean, personally, I'd like to hear it myself.
Okay, all right. I'll do the gay Jesus routine for you, and it starts off in the Navy. So, as an atheist, my very first command was the USS City of Corpus Christi. Now, for those of you that speak Latin, you've already got the irony. For those that don't, Corpus Christi means body of Christ. So, yes, the atheist was stationed on the USS Body of Christ. Now, the great thing about it is the Pentagon realized that they couldn't have a USS Body of Christ. It violated the separation of church-state. So they renamed it to the USS City of Corpus Christi. And, of course, the problem with that is the abbreviation was now COCC. So everybody on board the boat called it the Cock. So it was long, hard, full of semen, and called the Cock. And I think it was great that Jesus was associated with such an item, because I'm pretty sure Jesus was gay. After all, he was a fisher of men. He hung out with 12 men. He told a prostitute no. He was hung on the cross for us. And if you remove the crucifix itself, the cross, and just leave the figure of Jesus, you can't help but look at that and think that's the gayest thing you've ever seen. It's such a gay stance. You put your arms out to the side and cross your feet, and all I can imagine is him going, "Oh my God, the view from up here is fabulous."
Yeah, that and the fact that he's dead because he pissed off his father, who wanted a more macho son.
And of course, the fact that he has two holes in his hand to masturbate with.
Oh, that is so fucking wrong.
Well, you guys were accusing me of masturbating earlier, but if I do it, that's alone because I never got caught. I mean, guys complain about teenagers, very busy teenagers, they get caught by their mother. I never got caught.
If you haven't been caught, you're not masturbating right.
Yeah. But I did get caught at age 16. I did get caught with my girlfriend on the couch. We were kissing, and I had my hands down her panties. So far, my fingers were wet. And then my mother, very Catholic mother, walks in the room, takes one look at me, sees where my hand is, charges across the room, slaps me up the side of the head, and said, "Jim, I told you not to play with your food in the living room."
Oh, that's
my best joke.
One of the great things about being an atheist in Alabama, is you have to put a Darwin emblem on your mobile home.
Oh, that's wrong. That is so fucking wrong.
The other problem with being an atheist in Alabama is everybody knows the scarlet letter is what we're using for the Out campaign. Well, in Alabama, you put the scarlet letter on, and everybody just yells, "Roll Tide" at you.
Yeah, that is actually a true one, though. Hey, one of my favorite skits was and I'm gonna have to do a request here, the clinic.
Oh, you want me to do the clinic, huh?
Yes.
That's a very harsh routine. I've actually had people walk out on me during the clinic routine. It is incredibly offensive on many levels, but it's something that I do to prove the point that anything can be funny, and that people who say things like, well, comedians should never touch this subject, you're not being any different than Muslims telling us we can't draw Muhammad. Nothing is off limits, and everything is funny. And if you find something offensive, that's not the comic's problem, that's your problem for your inability to cope with whatever traumatic event happened in your life that causes you to be offended anytime somebody talks about it. So, if you're offended by comedy, do what you tell religious people to do all the time. Change the fucking channel. It's like, I don't get that at all. So I wrote that routine specifically to be offensive and to prove that point. You sure you want me to do that routine?
I'm fine with it. This is radio, and people can obviously flip it off if they don't like it.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, okay. I mean, understand, over the phone, you're going to lose the visual of me on stage ranting and raving and jumping all over the place, but we'll see where we go. So I recently got divorced, and by recently I mean sometime in the next year. Don't tell my wife. What that means is I'm single again, and by single that means I have to start dating, and I'm on dating sites, and the first thing I noticed about dating sites is if you like big women, dating sites are the shit. Okay, they are the absolute shit. They're amazing if you like big women. And here's the thing, I actually like bigger women. I like women with curves. I like women to what the modeling agency calls full-figured. I think they're sexy, like Marilyn Monroe sexy. I mean, think Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn Monroe was like a size 14 to 16. By today's standards, she would be called fat, and I think that's horrible. We need to bring back the word voluptuous, because that fucking meant something way back then, and it should mean something now. So when I'm on these dating sites, what I get is really skinny women or really big women, and I think that's stupid. I don't want a woman who looks like she just stepped off the boat from fucking Ethiopia. There has to be a compromise between Holocaust survivor and Goodyear blimp. If you look like Gilbert Grape's mother and you put on your profile that you just have a little extra padding, you're fucking delusional, right? Okay, so this is what I run into. Where's this compromise? I can't fucking find it on dating sites. And as an atheist in Alabama, it's even harder. Because when I go on these dating sites and I see that you answered that the earth is bigger than the sun, I delete you. When you say that you're a Christian and you take it seriously, I delete you. And so what happens is on these dating sites, OkCupid told me I should fucking move to Vermont or Massachusetts in order to get laid. And then the other aspect of that is there's nobody left once I delete all the stupid people in Alabama. Dating sites are just a waste for me. So I'm like, you know what? Desperate times call for desperate measures. So I decided I'm going to start picking up women at the abortion clinic. Now, I know you're freaking out right now, but hear me out. There's a couple of good reasons for that. One, I know they put out. Two, I know they got some experience. And three, I can pick up some lunch in the dumpster while I'm there. Now, the bad thing about that is it's really hard to get the stem cells out between your teeth.
God.
As I said, that's one of my favorite skits.
As soon as I mention the dumpster, at least two people get up and walk out every time. It's fucking great. The last time two women got up and walked out, and normally I just ignore people that walk out because everybody else is enjoying themselves. Fuck those people. But the last time two women got up and walked out, and I got on the I got back on the microphone and said, hey, ladies, before you leave, I just want to confirm our appointment tomorrow noon at Planned Parenthood. We good? And it's to me, it's an important joke for one, because of the offensive nature, that proving the point, but also because I think it is necessary to kind of laugh at the bullshit situation of revolving around the abortion issue in the United States. That it needs to have some light and humor brought to it, because for those friends of mine who work as escorts and go down and counter-protest the idiots. It's a very stressful and strenuous job, and it is incredibly frustrating. It's one of the reasons that I don't do it, because I know if I go down there, I'm just going to fucking bitch smack a motherfucker, and I'm not actually going to accomplish any good. I don't have the patience to deal with those assholes, just like I don't have the patience to deal with, like, Fred Phelps and his group of idiots. So I keep myself out of that situation. I know myself good enough to know that I will not go down there and just hold a sign peacefully. I will go down and yell and probably get arrested. So I stay at home and let my friends do it. And I hope that, that to bring some light to the situation in addition to, making a point about offensive comedy.
Well, if comedy can't be offensive, what good is it?
Yeah, I don't know. You guys know Troy Conrad? He does the Comedy Jesus Show. He also the inventor of Setlist with Paul Bavenza. He was on our podcast one time, and he said a quote that is freaking brilliant. And that is, politeness has no place in comedy. And I think that's a very apropos quote. He's exactly right with that.
Well, so some of the best comedians of our time, and I'm a huge fan of Bill Hicks, and if you know him, you know that he was offensive. But George Carlin and, there's plenty of others that were strictly offensive. Got on stage with the intent of being offensive, and they were the best.
Yeah, well, it's not only just the offensive nature of comedy; it's being the atheist as well. I mean, again, depending on which stage I'm on, I've lost an audience just by saying the word atheist, and at that point, they're not going to listen to anything I say after that. It's kind of like living in Alabama. I've learned to open up all my UPS packages very carefully. It's like when I first formed the North Alabama Free Thought Association 12 years ago. I was trying to think, like, where am I going to meet in Alabama, and encourage other free thinkers and atheists to come out and meet with us. And I was like, well, I can meet in the one abandoned building in town, the public library. Hey, what's great about that joke?
I hardly ever get used there in Alabama.
What's great about that joke is so many Christians will laugh at it because they think I'm making more fun of the South than I am of religion. If you can coach atheist jokes in a way that it sounds like you're making more fun of the South than you are about religion and atheism, or if you make it sound like you're making fun of atheists, the Christian and religious crowds will laugh their asses off. You just have to coach them in the right way.
Well, we
do
have
a religious person to open your packages for you.
Yeah. There's somebody said rent a priest.
Rent a priest.
Well, one of the I think the best thing about being an atheist in Alabama is I'm pretty much the only person here that knows a thesaurus is not a dinosaur.
You may be the only person who actually uses one.
And of course, one of the other good things about being in Alabama or being an atheist in Alabama is that, Sunday mornings and Wednesday nights, I pretty much have the roads all to myself. And of course, anybody who's familiar with Alabama, it's, you're an atheist in Alabama if you're afraid to be in Coleman after sunset and you're white.
Oh, yeah. And do you want to highlight what you're talking about with that? Because I think that is one of the worst cities in this state.
Coleman.
Just for that sign.
Yeah, Coleman is a sunset town. If you're a white person, you may not know what a sunset town is, but if you were African American, you are definitely familiar with a sunset town, or Mexican even. And the sunset town is basically towns that used to have signs up that would say, "Don't let us catch your nigger ass here after sunset." And those signs would be up around the edges of the town. Now those signs are down now, but the towns are still sunset towns. It's places you don't want to be if you are not white. I remember Neosho, Missouri is one of those towns, and I remember I was working there at the Sunbeam Oster plant after I got out of the Navy, and I never saw a black person in town, never saw one inside the plant, and after about a week working there, I finally just asked somebody, I'm like, where are all the black people at? And the guy was like, we don't want them here, and they know it. And I was like, damn. I just, that blatant of racism, to just be so in your face like that, just, I wasn't raised that way, so it's just so odd for me to hear and see people act like that, and to have it with just 30 miles from my house, that shit goes on, just drives me crazy. Just absolutely drives me crazy.
Yeah.
I've heard of places like that, but tell me, how would I make out driving through with my wife, who is not white, but I am?
Not well.
Yeah. What race is she? Is she African American, Caucasian, Hispanic?
Caucasian, but her ancestors are from India, and she's a very dark-skinned Indian.
All right, dark-skinned Indian. Yeah. In Huntsville, you'd be okay because a large portion of, we have a significant Indian population here in Huntsville, because, we have a very science-orientated industry here, and so we tend to draw in a lot of people from India that studied, in engineering and stuff like that. It's great. Huntsville is such a diverse city. I love it for that aspect. But just 12 miles outside of Huntsville is the capital of the KKK and the headquarters of the KKK. So it really depends on where you're at. And, if you're going to get called names in certain towns, you're going to get nasty leers in certain towns. That's just part and parcel. And to be fair, this isn't just an Alabama issue. If you go to upstate New York and some of the wooded areas, you're going to run into the same thing. I mean, rednecks are everywhere. It's not just a southern phenomenon. We just have more of them here is all, It's like anywhere in Pennsylvania between Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, you're going to run into the same thing. So you're going to hit it in Kentucky and Tennessee. It's not just an Alabama thing, to be fair. But living here, I can tell you very specific towns that you should really avoid after hours. Once the sun goes down, or where you shouldn't eat. If you're driving through and you don't live in a place, stick to the exits. It's the best advice comes from American Werewolf in London. Stick to the roads, stay off the moors.
Oh my goodness. And
I did hear a news report about the Republican convention in the Tampa Bay area, and a lot of the hotels were complaining that their white sheets and pillowcases were missing.
Oh.
Now, was that because they needed sheets for the rally that night, or was it because they were hiding the evidence of the gay sex they had the whole time?
You guys wondered about that because the gay sex sites, dating services in Tampa were on overtime. They had to bring in some guys from out of the state to cover the convention.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny.
Tell me, why is it that the Bible Belt and their anti-abortion attitudes have the highest abortion rate in the country?
Yeah.
But that is true.
There's a couple reasons for that. You guys are aware of Barna Research? They're a Christian-based research group. They're based out of San Diego, and to their credit, they post the research no matter how bad it looks for Christianity. So I've always liked them as an organization because they'll post the data whether it looks bad for them or not. So I give them credit for that. And they're the ones that posted the original research about divorce rates among religious people that showed that atheists and Gnostics had the lowest divorce rate at 21%, born-again Christians and evangelicals at 29%. The only ones that beat them were Jews at 33%. So when you look at those figures, they began to ask, well, why are the divorce rates so high? And it came down to a couple things. The first was the view on no cohabitation before marriage, no premarital sex, and then those were the two biggest contributors because you marry somebody mostly out of lust when you're not allowed to have sex with them before you get married, and it generates marriages that are based on lust and not love, and so they quickly fall apart. And the other aspect of that is the idea that anytime you have a marital problem and you go see your pastor, the advice they give you is pray to God to get you through it. And what pastors should be telling their married couples is go see a secular marriage counselor. God and prayer are not going to solve your marriage problems. So those three things, Barna attributed to being the largest contributors to the higher divorce rates among born-agains and Christians, etc.
Hey, we do have Lee Wood on the line that we're going to bring on before we end the show. And I'm going to put you on mute, Jeffrick, and we're going to bring him on. He's from Arkansas and has the Arkansas Society of Freethinkers. Lee Wood, are you there?
Yeah, I am. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi, Lee Wood.
Hello.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
You have some stuff coming up. You want to talk about it?
We do, as a matter of fact. Yeah, certainly. It's called Reason in the Rock, and it's our first attempt here at the Arkansas Society of Freethinkers. Our first attempt at just putting together a secular conference, day-long thing of events. Reason in the Rock, so it'll happen in Little Rock, Arkansas on Saturday, October the 27th. And we've got a full day, for sure, a full day of speakers coming that we've invited out, including Seth Andrews, the Pink Atheist, also Jerry DeWitt from Recovering from Religion, Teresa McBain from American Atheists, and then we've got our own National Atheist Party of Arkansas, and the leader of that organization, Mike Tom. Our founding member, Todd Billings, he's going to be one of the speakers, and also J.T. Everhard from What Would J.T. Do blog. And Lauren Lane, who actually co-founded the Skepticon with JT, she's coming down as well. And then we've also got a surprise from somebody from Camp Quest that's coming, and then Aaron Raw from his own website. So it's a full long day of speaking engagements, and it's a free event. So all you have to do is register, but we're getting almost to the point of starting the standing room only because the seats will be taken. But if you go to reasonintherock.org, you'll see right there the list of speakers and a place that you can register your seat before they all go out, or you have to stand and wait for a seat. But it's a great event, and we're excited to have it coming up. And so right now, the Arkansas Society of Freethinkers, that's what we're putting all our efforts into, just, the final touches on organizing this event. So anybody that's in the rural Arkansas area or the surrounding states, it's only like a small drive away, you are more than welcome to register and come on down to the event. And, I'm sure people will be going in and out that day. The Hogs are playing in town that day, so there'll be lots of hustle and bustle going on in Little Rock that day for sure, because when the Hogs come down, it's usually, you can feel the excitement in the air. So it's going to be a great Saturday.
All right.
That sounds great. So,
yeah, that's awesome, Leewood. I'm glad to see that's happening in Arkansas. Arkansas has been one of the fastest growing atheist movements in any state recently. I've had the privilege of meeting them in Arkansas several times and really enjoying the Arkansas movement. I'm so glad to see this happening. Arkansas is definitely a place where this needs to happen. And then to see Jerry DeWitt and Teresa McBain and JT, and I should add that JT is like the only guy I will go gay for. I love JT to death. Aaron Raw, that's such a great lineup. I'm really excited for you guys.
Yeah, it's a great thing. I mean, we've been fortunate that like Skepticon is something as large as that is, was just a neighboring state away, and I've attended along with a couple of other members for the last couple of years, and so seeing how an organization that initially started with just a college campus was able to grow this huge event that atheists come from all over the country. There, it was really inspiring because we're like, well, if they can do it right there, then certainly we can do that. So we've just strived at doing that, and this is our first one on a day-long conference, but we're, active in several other things around the area trying to grow the movement here in Central Arkansas. But this is, we just thought it was time and had the talent to put together a function like this where it was something along the lines of, day-long speakers that are, people within the movement. So we're excited about it for sure.
That's great. That's wonderful.
Do you live in one of the sunset towns in Arkansas that we were talking about?
No, actually, I'm fortunate. Right now I'm actually in Bryant, which is kind of sliding that way. I was born and raised in Little Rock, and so that was kind of the progressive hub of Arkansas, and then, the rest of the state's red and everything, but living in Little Rock, it wasn't so bad being an atheist here in Arkansas, but going out into the outskirts is where it starts to get really a bit of a challenge. I just recently moved to a neighboring county even, and it's a dry county. So, I'm just kind of like, all right, I'm really going to have to start keeping my eye on a lot more things because, it's out in the rural areas that the separation of church and state line gets crossed more and more because there's fewer people out there, and of the fewer people, less are going to care about, where the line is being crossed at. And so I'm taking the move outward into rural Arkansas as a bit of a challenge to myself since I'm an active member of, the Free Thinker group, and we pride ourselves on watching those separation of church and state issues, leading by example by taking, now that I live here in Saline, picking up and seeing what's going on here and see what I can do to help call attention to things that, need to be called on.
All right, and when is this event? You may have already said it. The Reason in the Rock.
Yeah, it's going to be Saturday, October the 27th, and it takes place in the main library, which is right there in the River Market, and that's kind of our entertainment hub. It's got a few restaurants and everything, so it's going to be right in the thick of things. It's right next to I-30, and that's the hub that takes everybody from I-40. I mean, that's one of the great things about being in Little Rock growing up, and not just in this particular realm, but just in general, is because we're right there at 30 and 40, and so all the traffic that travels, over the interstate, lots of times people are passing right through Little Rock, and so we're hoping to cash in on that by, holding stuff like this.
Hey, Leewood, I got a question for you. That's only a 5-hour drive for me. I'm seriously thinking about coming up there.
Please do.
Yeah, let me ask you this. I know Teresa and Aaron Raw are going to be there. Both of them represent American Atheist. Aaron Raw, for those that don't know, is the new Texas State Director for American Atheist. But do you know if they've got tabling set up? Have they done that yet?
I haven't been hands-on in that particular aspect of who else is coming in and stuff, so I couldn't say off the top of my head, but I could certainly find out.
Yeah, if you could find out for me and email me and let me know, I would really appreciate it, because if they're not, I'm definitely going to come and make sure that's handled. But I am seriously thinking about coming up there and hanging out with you guys.
That sounds great. I'll get that information to you soon.
Thank you.
Well, it's been a great show so far with the music that we've had and Blair and his comedy. I mean, this has been super entertaining. It doesn't seem like 2 hours at all.
No. Well, we had a 15-minute lag there with technical difficulties, but
I thought that. Right as I was leaving my kickball game, I was like going, all right, I got to hurry up, and I was plugging into my phone and everything, and I was like going, well, it's fortunate for me that the technical thing happened because I didn't really miss much. It gave me time to actually get here to the house and everything. But yeah, it's been great.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. And, I'm not sure what happened, and I do have some issue going on with the server right now. So for those of you in chat, just hang out, and as soon as it's back up, we'll let you know. And I know we had a Kevin waiting on the line and a few others. I'm not sure if we have questions, but we might want to.
Well, I'll bring Kevin on. He has to come on towards the end, and I'll keep everybody else on, and we'll just see what Kevin has to offer. But Kevin's called in a few times with us. Are you there?
Hello?
Hello?
Kevin.
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
Hi, Kevin. Welcome back to the show.
Hey. Yeah, I've been listening. Yeah, this is like one of the best shows, personally, I think, so far. Very entertaining. Very entertaining. It was very good. I wanted to ask a question to the dead man. Unfortunately, I wasn't logged into the chat. So, if you could, if you could possibly give me his Twitter, that would be cool. Definitely, I want to check him out.
Kevin, you know that you're on my Twitter, and he's on my Twitter there too. So if you want, I'll just tweet you over a message, and we'll get you linked up with him. So.
Okay. Yeah, great.
That's not a problem. What did you want to ask him? I know it's for him.
I kind of wanted to ask about kind of the responses he get from the black community about his music, being that it's very few black atheists, let alone rappers. Only atheist rapper that I ever heard about was Braden Square from California. I thought he was pretty good. So this is kind of a surprise to me, knowing that there's more out there.
Yeah, so that was basically what I wanted to ask him, like the negative responses. Because as an atheist, as an open atheist myself, I get like the most negative responses from like other African Americans. It's like almost like they view you as like you're selling out. You know, I don't know. It's weird, but yeah.
Well, I know that Graydon Square and Tombstone are both in that same clique that he was talking about, the Grand Unified. That's I know of the two of them in it. So yeah, I know they work together, the two of those.
And sometime in the future, we hope to get Graydon Square on the show if at all possible. So, but I did send out that message, and you're part of it. So just look for that, and we'll get you hooked up with him. He's a really great artist, and I absolutely love his music.
Yeah.
Jeffrick is asking where you're from.
Who, me?
Yes.
Yeah, you.
Oh, I'm from Jersey City, New Jersey, and I've been living in New York for roughly about 3 years now. Upstate New York, very different from New York City. I've recently connected with like a lot of the local atheist groups, which are pretty awesome. Got a lot of diversity, a lot of different kinds of groups, like somebody was mentioning earlier, like ones who like to do outdoor activities, coffee house, and ones who actually do debates with Christians in the community and pastors at the local libraries. It's very, very interesting. Yeah, but I've been in upstate New York for quite a while. It's quite different than Jersey, but yeah, it's pretty good.
And you know, one of the things when I was at the Reason Rally, I was next to a young lady who was also from New York, and I think that there is some atheists in black atheists that are hiding out, because one of the things she told me was that she couldn't come out because of her neighbors in the area that she lived in. So I don't think that you're alone. I just think that because of the amount of dogma in the black community, that it's harder for people to come out of that, because they know the extreme amount of dogma that's involved in that society.
Yeah, because like
it's a lot similar. Blair's still on the line. It's a lot similar to what we experience in the South. Doesn't matter what color you are in the South. Honestly, your race has nothing to do with it. If you say you're an atheist, you're outcasted.
Yeah, it's like, and everyone pretty much knows, like, back then I was kind of leery about, my job and everything, and, and I slowly, started, making people aware of it and just coming out. And, of course people view me different, but they knew me as a nice guy, assuming that I was a Christian, and, and things really haven't changed, but we just normally don't bring up the subject. It's usually just leave it alone, but sometimes I do joke around. But luckily, my personal life hasn't really been too much affected by my non-belief, but or rejection of God's love. Yeah, it's not arbitrary. Yes, but one thing I gotta say, like, out of all the atheists that I've actually met, I have, as of like upstate New York, I have yet to meet one black atheist. Like, every event that I go to, every meeting, it's all middle age to like, early 20s, that kind of age group of Caucasian, pretty much, just Caucasian, not even Latino or anything. So it's not like really awkward or anything. It's just like, it's like there's diversity. It would be like kind of makes me feel like kind of like an outcast in a sense, even though I'm around like-minded people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a bit tragic because on Facebook I'm part of Latino atheists and Philippine atheists and Pakistani atheists and various cultures. It's just that I know for a fact that it's a lot harder for them to actually speak out because some of them would actually be risking their lives just to say that they are an atheist or that they think like that. So I think that that's another thing with your culture is that, it's harder to speak out, and you're taking quite a stance by doing that. And, if we can hook you up with people who are in your area or that you can kind of, get together with, that's great because it's kind of a sad feeling to be alone because the atheist community is such a warm and wonderful community, and we don't want that for you. So.
Yeah. Definitely something to look forward to. I'm definitely loving like where the atheist movement as a whole is going. I feel like we're making a lot of progress. So hopefully one day being an atheist will be like the normal thing, and you can like live in America and like the word God will just be like so like ancient or something, or just be like taboo. But but that's pretty much all I want to say. And definitely, Rachel, you can tweet me that stuff and get me connected with that. I'd love that. But
all right,
I'm enjoying the show, and I look forward to the next one.
Oh, thank you. And
we appreciate
I'm always there. If you need something, just give me a holler. And I already sent that, so I'm not sure if he's a little busy or what, but he's very great at getting back to you. So he should be doing that shortly.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Thank you, Kevin.
All right, this has been a great show, and it actually looks like we're going to make it within the time frame that we have, even with the technical difficulties. So that's good. We do appreciate everyone who's tuned in today. It was a great show. We're going to go ahead and repost this show to play and air for the rest of the week in the evening times. So if anyone wants to catch a replay of it, it'll be there.
Yeah, and I think we did, aside from the technical difficulties, which we apologize, guys, I'm not sure what quite happened, but thank you, Tombstone, for coming on, and Shelley, if you get to hear this, you did a great job, and it was great to have you, and Blair, as always, you're hilarious and a wonderful guest to have on the show, especially when you stir things up. So, and Leewood, good luck, and I hope everything goes well with your rally, and everybody, thank you for joining us. We will be back again, of course, live next Sunday and be with you, and hopefully no technical difficulties, but you never know. So thank you, everyone, and I hope you have a good week, and we're going to go ahead and end the show and play us off. So take care, and we're looking forward to it. Thanks, guys.